Well, folks, listening to Talk Sport this morning, the old Jim and Simon show. I think one of the early topics they had on was the Marcus Rashford conundrum. Should he be brought back to the club next year? And have they made a mistake letting him go to Villa this year? Number one, they've made no mistake at all. He was stinking the place out at our place. And more than that, he didn't want to work. Didn't want to tackle, didn't want to run, didn't want to do anything. Wasn't bothered at all. On the field, and also from what I can gather, to a great extent, in training. He was a bad apple. We've had a few of them there. We've still got a couple there. We need them all out the door, especially the high-profile ones. And Marcus, for some reason, has got himself onto that level, high-profile. And when these young uns see him getting away with blue murder, they want to do it themselves. The culture is bad. It breeds. It's a cancer. You need to cut it out. They were right to let him go. How's he done at Villa? Well, I believe he's done pretty well. I believe he played well last night. He could come back to United and do pretty well again. Simon raised a point today. He said, I'm telling you now, if you get him back next year, you'll get a good season. The World Cup's coming up. He wants to play for England. I think he'll shine for 1 year. But then he'll probably revert to type. Type is only what it's been the last 18 months. Before the last 18 months or so, he was a brilliant player who put a shift in. Will be to know, but great player. Very, very good player, most certainly. But since they've given that big contract, he's just sat on his backside and done nothing. He will not work. And my problem is, you bring him back next year, that's fine. But will he work next year? And if he's only doing it because there's a World Cup coming up, that's no good to us. He's not that old yet, but he comes another year older. If he's having a good season at Villa and they can get rid of him to Villa, get rid. If not, put him on the marketplace and now's a good time to sell him. Back in the next year, it may or may not be. You're taking a chance again, aren't you? That isn't to say that I want him out the door. He's a United boy through and through. He always has been. He's been there forever. But if he won't play for the team, if he won't play for United, and more importantly, if he won't play for the manager, I want him gone. I was thinking to myself about being a kid. I was a kid many, many, many years ago now. You'll know that by looking at me. When I was 6 or 7, I remember absolutely banging on my mum and dad's bedroom door on a nightly basis before I went to bed. Please, for Christmas, can I get some purple George Best boots? Please, I want these purple George... We couldn't afford them. We couldn't afford them at all. I came from the age where you had a stocking at the end of your bed with things like tangerines in it and what have you. Anyway, long story short, I got a pair of purple George Best boots, the greatest present I've ever had all my life. When I was 7 or 8, I went my one and only game with my mum and dad to watch Everton beat us at Old Trafford. I think it was 2-0, but I could be wrong. I was 6 or 7, 7 or 8. They couldn't afford it. We weren't a wealthy family. They couldn't afford it at all. But I lived and breathed Man United. At that age, I just wanted to play for the team. It was every boy's dream to play for the team you supported. And I so much wanted to play for United. I was a good striker. Scored loads and loads and loads of goals. No stamina. I wouldn't run around the pitch all day. I'd just wait for the ball to come bang at me in the net. Great goal scorer. Not a great header of the ball at all. And not the bravest person on the football pitch. You know I'm telling the truth because I tell the truth. But I couldn't have bang goals in. But I knew very early on I was never going to make Man United. But had I made Man United, my heading would have got better. I would have ran all around the pitch. And I would have been braver. I'd have died for the badge. Especially if you paid me £300,000 a week. I'd have ran through brick walls for you. That's what Marcus should be doing. He should play for the manager. The problem we've got now at United is Amorim won't take any crap whatsoever. And I like that. But also the system he plays calls for the 11 outfield players, or all other than the centre-backs especially, running the socks off, up and down the pitch, and putting in a massive, massive work rate. That's what it calls for. Marcus at the moment, or for United, wasn't prepared to do that. And unless he changes, why would you bring him back? If he changes, if he wants to earn that 350,000 or whatever it may be, different ball game altogether. I'd welcome him back with open arms. But as I said, we've just had 18 months of him not wanting to do it for 2 managers. What's going to change now? If they can turn him around, fine. If Sir Jim tells the manager to bring him back because he's an asset or because he won't sell, and then I'm not for that at all. I think it's all down to the manager. If bridges can be built, and if Rashford can convince Amorim that he's prepared to fit into his system and work hard for 90 minutes per game, then get him brought back. If he can't, he's got to go. Simple as that. I'll go back to being the young kiddie of 6, 7 and 8 wanting to play for United, I would have done it. I'd have done anything. I supported Bestie. I would suggest the second greatest British player we've ever seen. Second greatest ever. Definitely in the world's top 10 ever. On any given day I might have him in the world's top 5. He didn't do it for 10 or 15 years on the bounce. He didn't always perform because of his nocturnal habits. He was a flawed genius. But when he was on the pitch, 9.5 times out of 10 he did perform. He ran his blood to water and he was fearless. He got kicked from pillar to post. Got kicked in the air every single game. Just got up and carried on. Nothing like your Bruno Fernandes today or your Rashford rolling over. None of that palaver. None of that at all. You kicked him at your peril because you kicked him and he made you look stupid a few minutes later with some brilliant skill. He was a great player, which is why I wanted to wear his boots. Would I buy my son now Marcus Rashford boots if they were for sale? Never in a million years. Would I have 3 or 4 years ago when he was on the up and it looked like he was trying and what have you? Of course I would. He's a United boy. Been there all his life. You want them to succeed. But you want them to give back. It's an exalted position he holds. He's so lucky to play for his boyhood club. Thousands and thousands and thousands of us were never that lucky. Never that lucky. That's why it hurts. That's why you can't come back. Unless he changes and commits to change and sticks with it, he just can't come back.